Hey, it's John Carlos, and I'm here once again with
Eddie!
Eddie. Um, and you suggested we watch this movie,
I did.
Night of the Demons.
Night of the Demons.
My
One.
first Night of the Demons 1, and not the remake, which I have seen.
As have I. Do you want to talk about that?
I didn't like watching it the first time, so I don't think I'd like talking about it.
I don't even think I finished it. I think
Uh,
yeah,
I only have two things to say about the remake, so I'll get them out of the way right now.
go for it.
Really solid cast. Edward Furlong, Shan Elizabeth, and fucking
Yeah.
Monica Keena, who I adore. And
Oh, that's right. She was in it. I forgot about that.
yeah. So cool cast. So like even fun fact for those of you out there who don't know me IRL, 95% of the time, if it's a remake, I won't like it. I just generally hate remakes. And then there's a 5% that I do like. But the second point is not necessarily an improvement, but just interesting to note that where in the original, Linnea Quigley puts lipstick into her tit. In the remake, I forget who it is, but whoever her character's actress was, puts lipstick into her tit, but then reaches down and pulls it out of her hoo-ha. And I was like,
I had
oh,
forgotten. That's right. I haven't seen
we've
it in so
updated this for
long.
2011 or whatever. Like it travels through her body and it comes out.
Wasn't it even longer than that? I feel like
And
it
it
was even
comes out like all
longer ago than
slimy.
that. Okay, I feel like it was
Yeah.
even longer ago than that, though. Like maybe in the earlier 2000s, was it? I don't know.
I would be willing to bet it's 2011, but let's find out.
Okay.
But here, I got a question for you though. While I look this up,
Yeah.
what about Night of the Demons? Of all the movies in the world, were you like, let's watch Night of the Demons? Like, what does it mean to you?
Well, I mean, the whole impetus for initiating these talks that you and I are having was, to give people a little diversion, like while they're under lockdown and whatnot. And here's hoping you're still doing that, sheltering in place as often as possible, practicing social distancing and all that. That said, things have gotten headier and more intense, and in some cases rightfully so, because it's just about kind of calling out truth and stuff like that, but it's a lot to take, and I find myself needing more diversion, more frivolity, more fun, something like I will invest in, like, news and updates and signing petitions and sending emails to my senators and whatnot, and then I need
Right.
to let the brain steam and cool off, and nothing.
That's why we do this in general. But what is it
Yeah.
about Night of the Demons?
Well, I mean, I think it helps that even though it was released in 1988, I didn't see it until I was a teenager,
Mhm.
in I'd say early mid 90s. It was on either Showtime or Cinemax or both a lot, late at night, like usually probably after my parents were asleep and I was already an established insomniac by then. And it was weird. It was fun. It gave me diversion even then, because you don't really have to think about anything while you're watching it. And also, there's something about it. It's a unique nostalgia because it's got a strange sexual energy to it, like that weird, restrained 1980s teenage sexual tension. And I think because it didn't hurt that I was in the closet in my teen years, and there was something about the psychosexual circus that it was that really attracted me. That it kind of played with. I mean, you brought up the infamous like breast plate or whatever, the unit that she was wearing that she pokes the lipstick into. And I remember the first time I saw that, it didn't scare me so much as just freaked me out. I was like, what am I watching? What is, because you don't expect that to happen. She's just kind of trailing it down the front of her body. And also, I have to say, seeing it in HD is a little disappointing, because when I saw it in standard definition on my television back in the 90s, it looked much more real. It did
Yes.
not look like a prosthetic. It's still really well done.
No, it's great, but
Yeah.
fuck, I forget his name. The makeup guy who did it. He's gone on to do
Steve Johnson.
Johnson.
Yeah.
I remember I watched this for the first time even later in my life than you did. I saw it in my mid-20s.
Mm.
No, not even bullshit. No, I saw it in my early 30s. I only saw it for the
Wow.
first time maybe 9 years ago, 8 or 9
Yeah.
years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, like I think I was like 31, 32 when I saw it. And I saw it on DVD.
Yeah.
So 720p. And
Mm.
I remember being blown away by how real the Linnea Quigley artificial torso looked.
Mm-hmm.
Looked amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, and then seeing it in 1080p, and there was already a Scream Factory Blu-ray, and then they put out a steelbook that included it was like not only was it a steelbook, but they actually have a new source for the image. I think it was scanned either 2K or 4K.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was a restoration from the previous Blu-ray. And seeing that new version of it, it looks like a silicone torso.
Okay.
It's a good silicone torso,
Of course.
but it looks like silicone.
And you can kind of, I mean, I have just the regular Scream Factory Blu-ray, but you can even kind of see the line where her neck ends and the torso begins and everything. So, I mean, luckily I didn't see it that way the first time. So the first time it really did blow my mind. But I mean, again, it teased that sexual thing of her just kind of painting on herself, almost childlike.
Yes.
And yet also sexually loaded. But then it's lipstick. It's not a knife. It's not something, that you feel like you should be threatened by. And she's just tracing it around her breast. So you think you understand what it is you're watching, even though you don't really understand it. You just I think you feel kind of like okay, well, this is the exploitation moment, but at least she's crazy and she's drawing a circle around her breast.
She's acting weird.
But then when she pokes it into her nipple, where there's no apparent entryway, and then her finger even digs in.
She mushes it.
Yes. And then there's memory to it, so when she pulls it out, it just kind of returns back to normal. You don't see the point of entry at all either there. And it's all practical, and it's all in one take. So you're just kind of left to go, what did I just see? And I think on the greater scale of things, the movie, that's a kind of a great all-encompassing moment, because it's weird, it's funny, it's a great practical effect, it's sexually loaded, and it's something that would be even rarer if it were to appear in a movie now. And I can't think of that moment being some things are tropes in horror movies, and this movie certainly has some, but that moment isn't a trope and never became one. It's just kind of an iconic moment.
In the intervening years between me seeing it and now, when I have seen documentaries or I have conversations with people, when you talk about moments in horror, moments in makeup and within that industry, it gets brought up. It is a standout moment for the genre it's in. And primarily because it is head-scratchingly, what the fuck? I've seen unique kills or unique moments, but it doesn't even make sense. I remember seeing this at 32 going well, that's the other thing is now every time you watch it, what you're looking at is a makeup effect. So you're looking at it from the beginning. That very first time you see it, you don't know what you're about to see is a makeup effect.
Yeah.
Well, I watched it this time with Tracy, and Tracy's like, well, that's not real. But Tracy,
you should have shown her the DVD.
Tracy went to school for makeup though, so
I wonder if she'd seen it in standard def if she would have the same.
Yeah.
But,
I still to this day, when you're a series of producers and you're a makeup guy and you're sitting down, either we have a script, you're developing ideas, and you go, well, what if the demon comes and turns her head around? Oh, okay, cool. What if she does? What if she just pushes her lipstick into her tit? You mean she cuts a hole? No. What if she just puts it into her tit with magic? What? Yeah. Is there a hole when she? No. Her tit just returns to normal. Does it go anywhere? No. What if she put lipstick inside her boob?
Yeah.
Don't think about it. Just
You're right.
and every time I watch it, I just go, like, what, whatever. Like, it's cool, but like, what?
And they never pay it off. She doesn't get like punched in the tit later in the movie and it shoots out of her cooch or anything
Right.
like that.
She goes like, and like,
right.
oh, sorry. You know, nothing.
Which
At
would have been
least-
fine, but I
that's
embrace the fact that, yeah.
Again, I don't like the remake, but at least the remake answers the question, well, where did it go? It went here, actually.
Because all erogenous zones are connected. But no, because I mean, that makes me think, I mean, it was interesting because like also just like looking at the features, like just again, going down the row of them, because Scream Factory tends to be very, very thorough with these special features. Hearing the filmmaker discuss that wasn't even one of the most crazy things that he had to explain to people, just because another thing that people talk about when they think about this film is just that mirror shot at the party after the mirror shatters, and first time I ever saw it, I was just like, oh, you know, like there was again effort being put forward to entertain me and to kind of dazzle me, because I just thought, what a lovely idea. Like, this is you could just shoot a bunch of kids in a room arguing, and he does that. But the thing is, it happens for a long enough time that I think he knew he needed to do things with the camera to hold our interest, but also just to play, just to hold his interest. And but that mirror shot, he was trying to explain to everybody, even the cast, what he was trying to do with that, and nobody understood. He was just gonna like, you just stand where I want you to stand. You point the camera here. I'm going to set up these mirror things. And okay, now you stand where, and as it started to come together, people on the crew and in the cast started to really see what he saw in his head and started to get excited about it. And it's, again, one of the most memorable things about this movie. And things like that. It's like innovation attempted where it needn't be, especially for what I think most people would peg this movie as, which is just, you know, campy teen horror. Another reason I chose it is because it runs deeper than that for me. You certainly get the campy teen horror aspect. I don't know, it plucks strings in my heart that not every movie does, and not even every movie from that era does. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm looking forward to hearing from you, because I do not love this movie. I simply like this movie.
Okay.
And I didn't know that you liked to the degree that when you suggested it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, sure. But like, who knew? Because we never really discussed that much. But yeah, like I like this movie enough to own it. Like I bought it on DVD because when I rented it on DVD and I liked it, so I bought it. And then one day I'm like, oh, I should probably buy that. There's a Scream Factory on Blu. And then when Scream Factory's like, we're going to do it again in a Steelbook, I was like, all right, I'll get this. But every time I've watched it, I just go, yeah, that was good. I like it.
Okay.
But between you and me, you know, and this has been mentioned before, and Lord knows been mentioned between you and me in our life, that I tend to fall into and analyze and get my joy from or get upset by story problems, whereas you tend to look into each character and get your joy, or have problems with the movie's handling of characters and their intentions and shit. So considering how half of this cast are fucking assholes, I would love to see, like, what does Eddie bring to, like, each of these characters and what they're feeling and shit. Like, because I mean, it is painfully apparent. I haven't watched this in a few years, but I forgot, just like, the movie opens with and normally I'm always struggling with names. Today I wrote them down. Fucking Stooge, within the first minute, is calling his girlfriend, who's not a bitch. He's always calling her bitch, which already I'm like, fuck Stooge. Why the fuck? Why does any girl hang out with a guy like this who's always calling her bitch? Fuck this guy. Anyway, the first thing they do is fucking Roger in the backseat goes, hey, look at that old guy. And then they mood him. Happy Halloween, asshole. Happy Halloween, asshole. They don't know he's an asshole. He's just an old man walking. The sheer amount of, like, mean ageism coming from these teenage fucks in the first minute of the movie. Well, let's make fun of this old man for being old and mooning.
Okay.
And then wait, hang on.
Yes.
The very next thing that happens is the point of view of Sal sneaking, as another character, sneaks up on this old man and scares him with the rat and is an asshole to him. And you're like, so everyone's an asshole in this? Everyone's an asshole in this. And then here's what's great. Our heroine tries to help him pick up his stuff. He's like, hey, you whore. And she's like, what, whore? I'm just trying to help you. He's like, oh. So now the old man's an asshole. You're 5 minutes into this movie and everybody's a fucking prick. And then as we keep going, we just, like, not only is Sal already a prick to the old man, but like we go to Judy's house and we find out Judy's brother is perving on her in the closet. And he's being an asshole to Sal, and then Sal comes and Sal's being an asshole to her little brother. He's like, hey, I've got my New York accent. I'm gonna steal your mask. Come on, kid, here's a quarter. Hanging out, all that shit. And that guy's originally from New York, so right on. I appreciate his New Yorkie character. And when her boyfriend comes to pick her up, every word that comes out of Judy's little brother's mouth is like a zinger and like an insult. Like every line was like, make sure it's an insult. Make sure you. Oh, I'm like, her little brother is a prick, and her little brother is a prick every time he opens his mouth. Half of these characters are fucking pricks. Just put it out there. There you go.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
If you tell me that you like Sal or Stooge or her brother, or the fact that her boyfriend is ultimately only with her because he heard that Judy banged Sal and now he wants to bang one out and he's all fucking upset when she won't bang one out with him, he's a piece of shit too.
Okay, there's lots to unpack here. Let's start with the fact that, like, that first establishing moment in the car. First of all, okay, for the first time watching this movie, this last screening I did, I'm watching Stooge, and I never liked that first opening sequence. That doesn't feel like the beginning of the movie to me. The movie seems to really begin for me when Judy runs into the old man, and he's already been accosted by, like, everybody. But, okay, this is the thing. First time I see Stooge and I see the way he's dressed, and I always used to think he was dressed just as like a punk rocker or something like that because he had like a big anarchy symbol on his back and everything. The first time I'm looking at him in the beginning and he's got a pig nose on and he's got his mohawk, and I was like, is he Bebop from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? It never occurred to me. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the cartoon was what, 88?
I think so. And the movie was shot. Well, the movie was shot in 87. But there was...
Well, the movie was 1990. The comic books, I think, were 85 or 86, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But the cartoon show was definitely around in 88.
Okay.
Which is more Bebop and Rocksteady heavy.
So then maybe he's just a punk who's wearing a pig nose, so maybe he inspired Bebop? I don't know. I don't know if Bebop was in the original comics. Okay, answer in the comments, y'all. If anybody knows, because I'm not going to do... I don't want to do the background work on this. But anyway, that's the first thing that I thought. But I don't really care for that opening scene. I don't even remember what transpires in it because I'm just kind of like, movie's starting. And the thing is, I kind of give exception to them all treating him terribly because I think this isn't, even though it was all shot in Los Angeles, it doesn't take place in Los Angeles. It's supposed to be like Midwest town, USA. So it's a small town. I feel like they all know this guy. I feel like they all know he's a prick. So I feel like that's where all of this malice is coming from.
Never even occurred to me.
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay.
They even go, hey, look at that old fart, I think was the line, right?
But, okay, the point is, something in their DNA knows that this man is capable of putting razor blades in apples. They know he's that much of a shit. Like,
that was the color of
so I don't get upset about it.
Then we find out he's like planning to put razor blades in apples.
Well, okay, this is the thing. Okay, because you talked about Sal, and Sal coming out with the rat. First off, because one thing you left out is that I'm also a huge fan and advocate for true camp. And the community theater level, like the kids playing make-believe level of acting that is attained by the lion's share of the cast in this movie is like a hug from baby Jesus for me, because it doesn't even start for me with Sal necessarily with his interaction with the old man. Like I said, the movie really starts for me when Judy interacts with him, because she's speaking in that, I mean, because she's also, aesthetically just kind of like, like Americana little girl. I mean, the funny thing is, like, you find out that she and Sal used to date, and they look like a community theater production's answer to Danny and Sandy. Like, I still want to see that happen. I want Grease 3 starring Sal and Judy. That's what I want. And the fact that she's so, well, what are you doing? I was just trying to help. Well, if that's the way you're going to be, I mean, I don't know. I'm like, yes. Oh my gosh, this is good. This is so good. So I don't care that they're assholes, because they're not really. They're playing. It's play acting. So there's like this wonderful, endearing.
Oh, it's not real? Thank you.
Yeah, that it's not real. That I'm just watching people pretend to be assholes, and it warms my heart.
Sure.
I will say, her brother Billy, I find a little problematic, because one thing that actually I drew a parallel to, again, this most recent, because he's not one of my favorite characters either, but I thought about Hocus Pocus and how that kind of draws a parallel to him, like, creeping on his sister, versus Thora Birch, like, hiding in her brother's closet while he's talking about how soft the girl he just met is while he's hugging his pillow, which I always admired that moment in Hocus Pocus, because I'm just like, wow, go Disney. Like, I never would have expected this, and that's not going to happen in a Hocus Pocus 2, y'all, just saying. But but
it should, though.
It should, but
it should be like an anime pillow that looks just like her.
I love everything inappropriate about Hocus Pocus. Let me just say that. But then with this scene, so I don't know if it's just my inherent sexism, like it's okay for a girl to watch her brother, but also her brother isn't stripping. She doesn't talk about his body. Like, he's like saying, hey, wow, bodacious boobs, sis. I find that problematic. It's just different. Also, I mean, she's not just changing. We see her bare ass. She's wearing a translucent bra, and I mean, Thora Birch knew better than to wait for things to escalate before she burst out of the closet to shock her brother. So I do find that moment a little problematic, but yeah.
I was actually going to ask you about that, because I'm an only child, but
Yeah.
I always imagined, because I actually, it was just a slip of the tongue just now, a few minutes ago, when I said he's pervert on her, because I always got the impression that he wasn't pervert on her, because when he comes out of the doors, and she's in her bra, and you can see right through it. He was like, whoa, bodacious boobs, sis. Pretty soon you're going to have someone carry them for you, or something to that effect.
Right.
Generally, I can't imagine, like, my first thought would be, like, if I was a boy and I saw my sis like that, I'd be like, blah, you're my sister. And the fact that not only is he not going, blah, thank God he's not into it, but he's not blah, he's like, I'm just going to dunk on you. How does he not just go, oh, fuck my sister? And then I realized, well, that's just maybe me thinking that's how brother and sisters are, because that's how movies have told me they are. Ew. Eddie has a sister. If you saw your sister changing, you probably wouldn't be like, well, I'm just going to make a joke. You'd probably be like, oh, you're in a bra. I don't want to fucking see this, right?
Well, no, not even that. I think I'd just be like, oh, excuse me. Because I don't want to make her uncomfortable. I don't, I mean, we don't live together anymore, but like, also, I mean, she's 3 years younger than me. And there wasn't like it wasn't a free household. Like, we each had our own individual rooms. We knew to close the door. We knew to knock before we came in and everything like that. So, I mean, there were boundaries, and we respected that. That was the nature of our brother-sister dynamic. So we never had a hiding in the closet at an inappropriate moment kind of confrontation, because neither of us ever had an inclination to do that. That's why I find it problematic. But at the same time, yeah.
You say problematic. Yeah. I just find it unbelievable. And I know you don't go to a movie like this for realism, but like, I can't even, and I get why you're saying it's problematic. I can't even believe it enough to even get to the problematic part. I just don't buy it.
I mean, I don't need to buy it. There's a girl playing a sister to a brother, and she's half naked. She's been more naked in the previous seconds. Right. And he's seen it all, and now he's commenting on her body. That its nature feels problematic to me. Yeah.
I get that. I would agree with you on that.
But that's it.
It's funny because I only connected it to, like, he sees her in her bra and makes a joke about her boobs. I didn't even really think about the fact that like he's been in there while she's changing her bottoms.
Yeah.
And that's weird. I also find I'm going to be nitpicky here, and whatever. But like, it's funny that like I say funny. Stereotypical hetero thing should just tell me like, hey, you saw a butt, and just be happy about it. In that very childish sort of way.
Right.
But I do find it funny that she pulls her underwear down, and then for no reason whatsoever lifts her skirt up again. Have you noticed that, like, for no reason whatsoever, except for the camera, but like no person, once it takes their underwear down, just flips up their sweater so their butt can be exposed? It's just made me laugh.
Like I said, it's a movie. I love the fact that I'm watching something where she's obviously cueing to the camera. Here's my butt shot.
Had I seen this when I was 12, I'd have been like, yeah, extra seconds of butt. And now, like at 39, I'm like, why are you lifting your sweater?
I think
that has nothing
helps.
to do with putting on a skirt. What? Okay,
yeah.
whatever.
I should also note.
But it just tells me what kind of movie I'm watching.
Oh yeah.
So that's fine.
I should also note that the first like 4 or 5 times I saw this movie, I must have seen it maybe 9 or 10 times before I ever owned it. And but I think the first 4 or 5 times I saw it, I didn't see it from the beginning. So my way in was usually we're already at the party, we're already getting possessed, like things like that. So like back in the day of cable when you could watch movies this way, it's on, and because I don't watch the movie, I stream from the beginning and I watch until the end if I can. But so like that moment just kind of felt like filling in the blanks for me by the time I got to it. Also the fact that I was younger and the fact that I'd already seen nudity in the movie, so I was just kind of like, oh, they started early. And now that I know that they made a joke actually on the commentary where the director was talking to Stooge, how he tried to get him to actually moon the old man, but and he wouldn't budge on it because he says, no one wants to see my ass, and it's scripted that you see the jack-o'-lantern on the back of my boxers. And he's just like, yeah, but we need you to, would you moon him anyway? He's just said, absolutely not. And it's like, but we can't see the jack-o'-lantern on your butt. It's like, no, you can. Light it better.
And you know what? You can totally see it.
Yeah, you can. So then the joke they made on the commentary later was just like, oh God, here it comes. I'm just not going to look. And the actress who's playing Judy, and he's all just kind of like, I had to get a butt in there somewhere. And they all just laughed together. And, and she was embarrassed about it in, kind of like, false modesty way, but everybody's going like, you look great. Whatever. Kathy Podwell is her name. You look great, Kathy. She's like, oh, guys. So the fact that she is okay with it makes me now even more okay with it.
I'm not against butts in movies or even this kind of movie. I just think it's funny how gratuitous it is that she shows it for no reason, because that's not how any person changes.
Yeah. How much time have we spent on this?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Can we move on?
Yes, let's move on. Because you also addressed her boyfriend. Now I have to. This is something I really have to unpack though for you.
What,
because Jay?
Jay sucks.
Lance Fenton as a character totally sucks.
Yeah.
As a closeted teen whose hormones were going berserk, he was kind of like an ideal man, because
until you find out more about him.
No, well, because this is the thing. Because everything that Judy was saying no to the whole movie, I would have said yes to. And my logic, I can't get out of this mindset when I watch the movie even now. My mindset was, oh, I totally would have said yes to that. I totally would have let him, like touch me and fuck me and all of that. Whatever, I would have gone all the way with him. Absolutely, I would have been just as excited as he was. Oh my God, I take off my clothes and he's into it? Awesome, that's exactly what I want. So I didn't understand I was always envious of girls who had boys chasing after them in movies and TV shows, and some not necessarily in life, because in life it's different, but in movies and TV shows, I'd see a girl just saying no all the time to these cute guys, and I didn't understand. Because also, I wasn't a girl. I didn't understand, I didn't care about a reputation. I didn't care about what people were going to say about me behind my back. I didn't care about, I didn't even care about respect. I just wanted to get off. So, and I felt like if I found a guy, no, and if I felt, shut up. No, but I felt like at that point, I felt like if I found a guy who was willing to be that honest, put his cards on the table, say like, this is all I want from you. I heard this about you, so you did it with him. Will you do it with me? And if I liked him, fuck yeah. So I can't get away from the fact that like, yes, he's a total jerk. So don't marry him. Just fuck him for a few weeks. You'll both get off. You'll both feel great. And here's hoping, you know, he's not too much of a dick after you both move on.
But that's who you are. And
exactly.
That's not who Judy is.
Of course. And that's why
she's considerably played up as more of a goody two-shoes than you ever were.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I was in my heart, I was a sinning whore. Sure. But with my behavior, if I were actually faced with, because also this is still imaginary, with my behavior, I don't know what I would have actually done if a guy would have done that. I might have been so freaked out, I would have said no, but not for moral reasons, just for freaked out reasons.
For
I don't
nerves.
know what to do with this. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then again, I might have just, yeah.
She is definitely, I will agree with you on the idea of the community theater, the acting style sort of thing. Because I almost, half of the time, I would say half of this cast, I wouldn't agree with you on. I think they're just acting and they're good. There's something, I don't want to say this as an offense to her, but there is something very kind of performy about how she is in this movie. But I also chalk it up to not just her acting, but also the fact that Judy is such a square. You know what I mean? Like I remember she's not just like our heroine, because we've had our Laurie Strodes, you know, we've had our heroines that are virtuous or virginal or whatever the fuck. But she's very much like, I don't want to say stick in the mud, but she's not very fun. Like she's
absolutely not. Sometimes she's even worse than a square. Yeah. Sometimes she's a coward.
Yeah. So I found that interesting to have that ultimately be one of our heroes, but two, that really played into her character. I'm not necessarily going to say that I like that all the time, but I'm just saying, like, I just remember going, man, she's a fucking square.
This is the thing. If it were played any more earnestly, because that's the thing. True camp, you know, earnest, but so earnest. And if it were played any more, then I won't say earnest. How about authentically, maybe? If people were more focused on a naturalistic tone, which I don't think would suit this movie at all.
No.
But if that were the case, I would probably find Judy a lot more to take. But I can always fall back on a laugh. I can always fall back on a, oh my God, what a geek, you know, or something like that.
Sure.
Because again, I'm not laughing at an actual person. I'm laughing at ostensibly a cardboard cutout with a voice. And I love that.
I don't find this movie as cardboardy, cutouty as community theater is. You, like when you mentioned like the style, like sometimes I do, but like maybe it's just because I've seen far more extreme. Like I recently watched Doom Asylum, or a good example would be like when we watched Basket Case, and you were just giggling at the main dude's performance.
Yeah,
but I'd say like again, like half of this cast isn't giving me that kind of cheesy. I'm not saying that this is like a mammoth play of, you know. Not everyone here is, you know, giving me Lee Strasberg or anything, but like, I don't. Again, like, you know, Sal is a little cartoony, but you know, and Stooge is a little. I don't know. I don't. I don't know. I've seen broader, so I still I don't. I'm not saying I'm coming to this for realism, but I don't see it as cartoony as you do.
I mean, okay, I wrote down a line here that Jay says when he's on the phone with Judy.
But there are plenty of moments.
Oh yeah,
I'm not going to deny. I'm not going to deny.
This isn't even one of the most memorable lines. They are all over this movie, but even just the way he
Eat
says,
a bowl of fuck, by the way. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you. But John Belushi, rest in power. But no, Lance Fenton sits there and just when he's trying to get her to go to Angela's party and she's unchanging, we're never going to get away from this scene. But he's just like, just the way he says, that school dance is for nerds. And the fact that she's
such a
Angela.
Yes.
what are you getting us into? She's into witchcraft. I mean, it's
That's
so...
probably my favorite Judy moment.
Yeah.
Angela.
Okay.
The only Angela I know is that one who's into witches and stuff. What?
Yeah, right.
And that was the first inkling. I'm like, oh my God, she's so lame.
Yeah. I love that you just did that gesture. But okay.
Why is this guy going out with her? Oh, because reportedly she banged Sal.
Because
when Sal shows up, that whole scene with her little brother on the porch, I could watch that scene over and over and over again. I love just like, hey, wait, tell me about your sis. Hey, give me the I got a quarter there. I'm like, and I remember going like, one, I love the level of what we're getting here.
Yes.
Two, like, he's giving me everything, but also, it wasn't until I watched the making of where he talked about he's from New York, and I'm like, even better. Because now I don't have to be. Because if that was a choice, that's one thing. But the fact that, like, no, that's just kind of, maybe he's amplifying it, exactly.
Yeah.
But he's been around it. It doesn't feel, I don't feel like I'm watching some Southern California, LA actor trying to a New York accent.
No,
He is probably my favorite performer in this movie.
And he always played that role.
Even though he's not my favorite character.
He's not my favorite character either, but I gotta say that I'm so glad you brought up that scene because, again, if we're talking about like you've seen,
it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean that's community theater, that's camp, but he's not giving it away. Exactly, he's playing it like I feel like I'm watching a junior high production of Grease or West Side Story, where I mean just like, now go get your sister. And his brother talks about the party. He's like, party? What party? I mean, it's like PWARTY, party. And also I love the fact that like his default, when it seems like he doesn't quite know his lines, because they shot all hours. We don't, and they only had that house for like one night, so they had to shoot everything like real fast. So I feel like he's reaching for, he only got one take, and I feel like he's reaching for his lines, and his default is going, hey, 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 hey. My line, Yeah. hey, party? What party? But I had to rewind it. I love that so much. And then, okay, because I mean, that's largely, when I get to that, I'm just kind of like, yeah, here, this is what I watched the movie for. Then we get to the next scene with Linnea Quigley being introduced. I even timed it because first shot of her is her panties and her cooch, through her panties. And it's at minute 10:20, and we don't see her face until 11:30. So it's a minute and 10 seconds before we see her face because, like there it is. I mean, we don't see it the whole time. Like we see the faces, and then we cut to Amelia Kincaid playing Angela, doing some of the most silent movie telegraphing. I'm stealing things.
Putting in the bag. And then she's close from having
are they watching me? Are they watching me? And it's so, I loved afterward. I mean, I knew she was a dancer before I ever found out she was a dancer, even before I saw like the dancing scene, because that was one of the first things I saw was just, maybe the third time I watched it, I remember I just saw panties, and I was flipping channels, and I got to Cinemax or Showtime, and I saw panties, and I was like, what is this? Because, I was young pervy, and nudity or body parts are body parts, I didn't even care. And I was also envious. This is the thing about Linnea Quigley's role as a young boy, and I can't get away from this when I watch it now. I was so envious of her because she was like what the boys wanted. She knew it. So she used her sex as a power to get what she wanted, to divert attention so she could get her friend to rip things off. And she really liked the attention. She got off on it. And I was just like, that's who I am. Teenage me was totally Suzanne, or would have loved to have been Suzanne. Probably would have gotten me into a lot of trouble because granted, it's a movie versus reality.
That reminds me of the time when we went to the store and you needed to distract the guy, and I had you bend over in your short shorts, and your little cheeks were sticking out. That is so you. It is so you.
I just mean using that sexual power, because also I didn't think about, now I think about repercussions. I think about women always in cinema being granted sexual power. That was the one power they were allotted throughout cinema history. So
and it
feeling
justified
about
the
it,
exploitation of their body if there's
exactly
point to it. And that's one of the things that,
yeah.
again, when that's one of the beats that I like about this movie. And again, we're talking about a girl's butt, pardon me, but but the fact that we start on her ass and then we're seeing the guys at the counter watching, and your first thought is, oh, it's an 80s movie, here's gratuitous butt.
Yeah.
And then we find out that she's the distraction, that it's part of a scheme, and all of a sudden there's a context to it and there's a point to it, and that's when the scene all of a sudden starts here. But then, you know, I love when there's a reason, you know, we were justifying something. Anyway.
Yeah.
I like this.
But I mean,
all part of the plan. You know?
Exactly. I mean, and I love that too. Again, she was almost like a superhero. I was just kind of like, that's exactly who I would be if I could be out. I couldn't even articulate it to myself, but I know it now.
I love that she still ends her moment with them by kind of dunking on them a little bit.
About sour balls?
Yeah.
But so my favorite.
And they're fucking goons. So.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Even though I thought at that age, I was just kind of like, I don't know, they're kind of cute. Like I would, but talking about like, you know, a wholly restrained.
Yeah, their faces aren't ghoulish. I'm just saying, like, as men, they're fucking goons.
But there was, again, something really ingratiating about men who were willing to completely disarm themselves just to be blunt about what they wanted, because that was all I wanted, was a guy who would be blunt with me that I was what he wanted, and not much has changed. But
it's interesting because people's different experiences. I mean, there's one thing when a guy who isn't being a piece of shit but can, like, you know, put something on Front Street and be like, hey, this is what it is and this is what I'm after, versus, you know, when I watch that scene, I have in my own life, I have no respect for men who don't have tact.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to, like, you know, like those two guys behind the counter have no tact, versus, you know, you know,
no, absolutely,
the modest perv, if you will.
This is not like
those guys are fucking goons.
Exactly. This is. I'm not saying that, like, if it were to happen today, I would behave the way Suzanne did now. Yeah. But I can still, like, that kid is still, you know, alive and thriving inside of me. So when I watch it, I'm just kind of like, oh my God, I remember, you know, I can't even help it. Like, it comes racing back to me. So I think, again, it's a strange kind of nostalgia this movie packs for me. But because also, okay, we get back to declarative, telegraphing acting when Suzanne walks out, and
yes, I love this scene.
Love it.
Fucking love this scene.
You think you got enough stuff. S-T-O-F-F. Stuff. Yeah. And then side eye, like, this is the thing, she never stops acting. It's like she's still saying lines even when she's silent, and I love it. And then the fact that,
I actually, if we're gonna, I really want to get into Linnea Quigley here, so let's just dive right on. I consider this movie part of a trilogy. She's been in plenty of movies, but I have my brain trilogy of 80s good horror movies that Linnea Quigley is in, and one of them you just recently we watched together was Black Christmas, Return of the Living Dead, and Night of the Demons.
Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Black Christmas? Silent Night, Deadly Night. Bam, bam, bam. Like, just that's my little trilogy of hers. That it's her wheelhouse, and Lord knows she's been in other things, but those are my big three.
Yeah.
And I am fascinated by the cadence of her voice.
Oh.
And I had to look up where she's from before she came to LA. And she's from Iowa, which isn't really known for having an accent.
Yeah.
But, like, you remember, I don't know, I forget, I apologize if someone could tell me where the accent it's supposed to be from for Romy and Michelle, but Mira Sorvino.
I thought it was Baltimore.
Baltimore? It reminds me of Baltimore.
So. Yeah.
Like, oh, sorry, I cut my foot earlier. My shoe's filling up with blood.
Yeah.
Ow. Ow. Oh my God, Romy. Like, it's not quite there, but but
You
just
were
like,
not
relax.
Peter
I just
Michelle.
want to look good for the boys.
Yes! I can cross it off
Did
my
remember
list.
to invite some cute boys to this party? Oh, it's so fucking good, and it's not. I don't know if it's a choice because when I see in interviews, it's not.
No.
But it's very aware, and I appreciate how aware she is of how she says things. I
Yeah.
fucking love it, and I maybe we'll watch Return of the Living Dead for one of these because I fucking love Return of the Living Dead for so many reasons, and one of them is Linnea Quigley is playing such a different part for her, but that cadence is still there, but it's focused in this very specific intention. She's fucking brilliant in it. Anyway, I love her readings in this. Like, I love they walk in and Jay's fucking dead with his eyes gouged out. She's just like, hey, how about an orgy?
And what follows? Hey, who wants anybody want an orgy? Or who wants? I have it written down somewhere, but who wants an orgy? And then it just goes like this.
Exactly.
I mean, she feels so in control.
Yeah, like Stooge is gonna walk her to the bathroom, and he's like, "Well, Stooge's like, hey, maybe I'm in the mood for some pork tonight." Like, it's just, oh, she's fucking great in this.
Can I tell you? Go ahead, please finish.
No. I was just about to say her fucking accent and her intentions.
Yes,
like
I agree.
It makes. I don't even think it's not even her as an actor who's. I feel like her as Suzanne is like very aware of like her like. She is as a human character is very I fucking love it. I love it.
Me too. But this is the thing where like watching it, I had the weirdest impression of her the first like 2 times I saw it, because I think the third time was when I saw the panties establishing, and I was just kind of like, oh, she was always a slut or whatever, because no slut shaming. I'm a slut too, slut pride. But I have to say, the first the first time certainly, and I think by the second time I was just in the house, so I had already seen her possessed, so I thought she was just acting strange because she was possessed, and that's where that voice came from. Or I mean, okay, how can I explain this? I looked at her dress and it seemed to be kind of on an even keel, even though it's sexy demonstrably because of what she does in it. It's not necessarily the design of it that's sexy. She has to bend over. She has to dance provocatively. If she just stood there and didn't bop around or whatever, when I see her just standing next to Judy, I feel like they're both just dressed up like little girls, pink dress, blue dress. Even though Alice in Wonderland, I can recognize that, but I was just like, oh, they're both dressed up like little girls. When I
she's
first
like a little princessy ballerina thing.
So I thought she turned into like a psycho slut because she got possessed. But so I thought her original character, because of the kind of superior tone she took, because there was something very regal about the way it's almost like she condescends to people when she talks to them. And when she's possessed, it's also just like, I thought it was just, she was just turning weird, like, I just can't get it right. I was like, oh. So I thought she was like a snobby character, like almost like, like a highfalutin, pristine character who turned slutty because she got possessed. And that's why Lance Fenton, Jay, never really looked at her that way. I didn't know he was originally with Judy. I thought like all of a sudden this pristine character who's also dressed up like a little girl is acting slutty, and he's kind of taking notice of her finally, because I'd seen Grease. I knew what happened when girls, changed their, again, back to Grease. Oh my God. I didn't realize I was going to be bringing up Grease this much, talking about Night of the Demons, but there you go. So then by the time I got to the third one, it was like a whole new movie for me, because I was like, that's the first introduction to her. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm getting to know who Suzanne is for the first time. And it was exciting. It was really, that's when I really started to get behind her. It was like, it's not because she's possessed. She's just like that. I love her.
She's just what? Just like me. Well, first of all, I love her cadence and delivery as Suzanne pre-possession, just because I like what she brings
Yeah.
to a character. But again, a
Mhm.
lot of it's like, hey, how about an orgy? We'll see if Jay can get it up. Or like I love her little like zingers. Like I like that. Hey, between like her going like I can't seem to get like it's all like it's not your typical like I'm evil now. It's strange. Like she becomes like a child, but then she becomes like a fucking game show host. Like
Yeah, a game show.
she is.
Who wants to have an orgy?
Maybe we can get it up. Like she's this close to like having like a ventriloquist. I'm like, hey, and then I love when they flee and she goes. I love that you see it. You feel them here. No, she goes, run, Judy, run. See,
Yes.
Judy, run. I can't tell if the demons have read C-Spot Run or if they're reaching into her human brain and pulling that out. But I'm like, are they making a C-Spot Run reference? The demon is? All right, whatever. Fuck it. I like it. See, Judy, run.
Yes. One of my favorite, also, I mean, okay, because I want to address other characters' moments as well. One of my favorite Judy moments, I don't know how memorable it is to other people, but it's so precious to me because it's totally indicative of innocence, but I don't know how you direct somebody to do this. It feels like her performance. When they first all arrive to Hull House, and what's his name? Max is taking his stethoscope to the wall or to the ground near the wall. And he just comes over. He tells her to come over, and she sits there and she puts them on, and she listens for I'd say a good 10 seconds, like just going. And then she looks at him and she's just like, water. And it's so pure and happy and childlike, and what more can I say? It's beautiful. I also, okay, to get more on the outside of things too, I am such a fan of the production design of Hull House. I love that everybody, apparently the entire cast was scared shooting there because they were convinced it was actually haunted. Things were happening, and who knows if it was just crew playing pranks on them the whole time or whatever. But they all felt uncomfortable at one point or another the whole time they were shooting that movie. It was an actual house. It's been torn down since.
It's not around anymore. Yeah.
But everything, all their stories about,
it was in a bad part of LA. So you're telling me you're shooting from like, I think they mentioned like you get there around 6 or 7 p.m. You're shooting till like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
In like gangland LA in the 80s.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like and then also it's already like a kind of even without the dressing, it's just kind of like a spooky house at night. I get why you'd be a little spooked.
Yeah.
It literally did have creaky floors and stuff. So yeah, I get it.
And Bill Gallo actually had that exchange with a woman in the middle of the night. He was outside just smoking, and she was looking at him from the other side of the wall or the gate, and she was looking at him, and he was just kind of like, just looking back at her, waiting to see like what's going to happen. And she told him something, I don't remember the exact words, but she said something just like, get out.
Yeah.
Go, get away. And she just left. And he was like, what the fuck? Like she knew something that he didn't, and maybe she knew something. Maybe somebody died there the week before. Maybe she'd seen ghosts. I don't know. But
the story I liked was that Stooge was like walking by the bathroom when he heard inside the bathroom. He's like, oh fuck, why the fuck is there a noise? And then he realized that like the floorboard that he would step on ran into that. When he stepped on it, went inside.
Yeah.
But you can spend your whole night scaring yourself with all that kind of shit.
That's so me. I've done shit like that to myself. Yeah. So I love that. I wrote down, I love the attitude of Angela as she tells Judy not to lay her lighter on the table. Because, okay, as much as I wished I was Suzanne, I think I am Angela. Because of the passive-aggressive way that she just sits there and just, to Judy, I feel like that.
Well, I've seen you dance, so you are Angela.
I am Angela, but I will embrace it because I'm a huge Amelia Kincaid fan.
It's a great part, and she's great in it.
My God. I mean, it only gets kind of better. I love that there's, as big and cartoony or silent, I said silent movie and I stand by it, as she is in her introduction, I love that as she starts to kind of like command the party and claim her place. Like, she really owns her role as hostess and speak declaratively like about demon energy. I mean, she's even again, there's a cadence and an enunciation and attention to the detail of this is my dictation and I want you all to listen to me now. And I feel very close to it. I'm a Virgo, what can I say? So there's that.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
I'll explain it to you later.
Okay.
I love that in the past life seance, when that gets introduced, Suzanne's another great line from Suzanne when she's got her compact. Cool. Will this do? And Angela's like, I'm afraid not, Suzanne. We need one we can all look into at once. And then Suzanne just does this like, like, well, fine. I didn't want to give you my compact anyway. I mean, again, so much happening around the lines in this incredibly enchanting Guffman-esque way that I don't feel like anybody's throwing anything away, and yet it's not being played for naturalism, and it's what I'm here for. It's why I chose this movie.
I haven't said this enough, but you know who gives me a lot of that is Stooge. He's very much like the guy. And he's great at it.
Yeah.
I just wish he didn't call his girlfriend bitch so much.
But that's so Stooge.
Yeah.
Doesn't make him likable. That's another thing. This is like the most unlikely group of friends. And if I were to go, yeah.
And pretty, as far as not the actors, because apparently for you, the actors can carry you a lot through this. But for me as characters, very unlikable group of characters.
Oh, yeah.
Between Sal and Stooge and fucking Jay, like, half of these people like fucking get killed already. Or
well,
turn into demons.
This is the thing. I'm also watching Sal when they all practice the seance and they're sitting there looking in the mirror. I love that there's this they're following this impulse. He and Linnea Quigley, they're sitting in the back, kind of like kids sitting in the back of class so nobody will pay much attention to them. And they're totally playing footsie. And you can see something happening to them as the camera moves and we start to kind of see them more clearly. They're kind of just like looking at each other, you know, just like casting these glances. And as the camera moves, you see their legs are close together and their feet are close together. And they're playing footsie, which is kind of, again, sweet and endearing, but at the same time, it's happening through shoes. They both have their shoes on. So it just looks like their shoes are having sex. And, but I respect the impulse, the actors' impulse to do that, to go that way, because it feels character-based. It feels, again, like, I mean, if we're talking about character and me, like, following them, that's what's going on. And also because it's coming from this, you know, restrained, closeted kid, I'm kind of going like, yeah, somebody should get it on tonight. That said, I really like Max and, what is her name? Franny?
Franny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two people that show up that generally are kind of agreeable people, especially Franny. Max has, you know, like Stooge's car is broken down. I feel like, I forget what Max says, but like they're like, hey, we need help with our car. And they're basically like, fuck you.
Right. Hey, can we give you a hand? And it's just like, yeah, please.
Yeah, there we go.
And peel away ever so slowly. Like, you could catch them. You could jump in the car. You could ride the back of it.
Yeah, Max isn't like a total dick. He just has a few moments. But I love that, like, Franny's just like, and we're going to spend Halloween in this place? It's like, she's so excited. I mean, especially, I love the fact that, you know, we do have a cast of what? Like
Several.
10 people? Like, fuck. And, like, we have one black person and one Asian person and some sort of Italian, brown, something. No, Fran. I actually wish Franny was in it more. I'd much rather hang out with her than Judy.
Mm-hmm. Even after her death, like when they both pop out of the coffin to scare Judy,
her demon form.
there's not much makeup on Max. He's just kind of like got like some circles under his eyes and maybe some scars or something, and he's right there, fully lit. Meanwhile, Franny's like in shadow, really kind of blocked by Judy because she has to exit past her anyway. But she's got this amazing like upturned eye bleeding thing because her neck was broken. And I really wish I could see it more. Like I almost have to freeze frame if I want to see like what they worked on with the makeup. I don't see her heavily featured when they're all together, like going toward the wall at the end. So like yeah, even in death, Franny gets kind of the short shrift. And and again, I would have been upset if I were Steve Johnson. Like, why didn't you get my makeup, more?
There's a lot of interesting makeup choices in this, and they're good choices. One of the more obvious ones is I like that Angela and Suzanne have so many different phases to their looks. I think that's great. But I also appreciate, it might have been a cost-saving thing, but I actually think it really works as a choice. I like the fact that, so like Stooge, Angela, Suzanne are like demons. Like they, through kiss or through whatever, become like demon possessed, versus other people die and come back. But when you're killed, you don't get like the full demon makeup. You just kind of look dead and you're moving. And sometimes it's really minimal, like Sal at the end. Max is another one. Even Franny, like they have her performing with her head, and like but like they don't have the grotesque, ghoulish demonness. They're just dead and active, and that gives me variety when I'm looking at them as a group. At the end, I think it's a really cool choice. It might have been cost saving, but it really works.
I mean, I know that for a fact that Steve Johnson was stretched really, really thin over this, and apparently did a little cocaine to get him through the nights. But
I think it was only till like the when they had the group at the wall for the climax where like he actually got to bring on some other people to help. But it really did sound like it was just like him, or like a very minimal group. That's a lot.
Also, this was his first feature that he was like kind of taking the reins with, so he really wanted to prove himself. He really had this this fire under his ass professionally to attract the eye and to be like, look, this is what I'm capable of when I'm in charge, kind of thing. But
if you're him and you've got something to prove, I think this movie delivers. Like, you proved something. So yeah, no, that's a standout. I mean, I grew up seeing the video box of this movie with Angela and the poster and you're invited, and I remember even back when Virgin Records was a thing, I remember like going there and seeing the DVD cover of that. And I remember even in my 20s going, I need to fucking see this movie someday. I wish I hadn't waited so long. I wonder if I would love it more than just simply like it. But like, at least for me, like, can you tell I'm from Southern California? I said like a lot. I don't have as much character, and I don't get as much even from the acting as you do. But what I do know is like one of the things I love about it is that it starts out within the first 10, 15 minutes setting you up for what I consider to be a fucking 80s horror movie. Like, here's a bunch of kids, including like an uptight preppy guy, not uptight, but like your preppy guy, your fat party guy, and then like your witchy girl, and we're gonna go to like not a graveyard, but like
Hull House.
Yeah. And what are we gonna do? We're gonna play some dun 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 dun. We're gonna have we kept the shot of the boombox, and we're gonna party, and we're gonna do a seance. And I'm like, holy shit! Graves outside, seance, Halloween night. Like, this is, if I had to write like the spoof of an 80s movie, of a horror movie, like this is the template. That would be used. If I had to show someone what is an 80s horror movie, what are the tropes, I'd go, oh, well, here it is. Might necessarily be my favorite of those movies, but here it is. They are partying as teens, fucking, and then, so yeah, the first time I saw it, I really liked the first half, and the second half just became kind of like, well, there's demons and they're running, and she runs, and there's more demons and they run. And having gotten older, I still like the whole movie. But I just say I enjoy the setup more. I get more out of who the characters are and everything. But it doesn't break the mold. The good thing is, but I like the mold, and this movie plays within that mold really well. Like, it's a good version of the mold. But there are some other movies I like from the 80s that maybe sprinkle a little more wit or have more intention or have something else to say. And those are the movies that I tend to say that I love. Whereas this one, it isn't maybe as ambitious as some of the ones I love. And within that framework, I really like what they did here.
No, I get that.
Enough to buy it. Here's one thing that breaks the mold, though. Do you want to talk about breaking the mold for a moment? I'll tell you breaking the mold, especially for its era and not 10, 20 years later. Fucking Roger is black. And Roger, I love that Roger's like, shit's kind of fucked up here. I'm going to go. Does anyone want to go? I'm going to go. And I'm like, yeah, man, he gets it. But then when he goes, you're like, this guy's going to die. He's going to die, right? And then the movie keeps going, and you're like, Roger's not dead. And then you get to the last 20 minutes of the movie, and you're like, fucking Roger. First of all, Roger's the smartest one in this movie as a character.
Because he's the first one who wants to get out without panicking.
Down. He knows what's up, but the fact that he and Judy survive, and I'm like, because I think you'll back me up on this. There are certain tropes that we've, that are considered horror tropes, but then we go, it's not actually true. Like, here's all the times where the virgin isn't the hero or something.
Sure.
But there are a lot of movies where the black guy is the first one to die. That is totally a thing.
And then even if he isn't the first, he's going to die. He dies eventually.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it is surprisingly true how often. Not every time, but it's pretty often. So I love the fact that Roger makes it out. And that Roger's, he had his head on straight, and I love it.
Also, I like the fact that he doesn't offer much as a character, because everybody's behaving with this kind of theatrical bravado at the party, just kind of boldly declaring with their lines and their stance and everything exactly who they are, whereas he's just kind of quiet. But if you watch him in his scenes, he's looking scared. There's one shot where all the guys are watching Linnea Quigley bend over the fire, and they're all just like, but Roger's just kind of like, and just like, what's going on? Why is this going to be the whole night? I don't even, I came here to have a party. I'm dressed isn't he just like a pirate? And I want to have some fun, I thought, but also one thing that again, that stood out to me this past screening was the fact that he talks about being a preacher's son, and later, and he even prays to God a couple times, but then when Judy is hanging from the roof, she's praying as well, going oh, please God, don't let me fall. And he's down there talking to her, trying to go, it's like, I can't. And I'm like, oh dear God. I love that he's, got this kind of fervor or resilience to actually stay there and cheer her on, because he doesn't want to see her die. He's a pretty decent guy.
I appreciate
And then
that.
later when I like the idea more than the way it's played out, I will say that. But I like the fact that they kind of take turns being, I won't say strong, but I even wrote it down and I don't remember exactly the terminology, but I mean, being more proactive and kind of crumbling a little bit, just kind of tripping up and becoming vulnerable in an uncontrollable way. I just kind of need to be a basket case for a minute. They both get those moments where the other one is coaching, one of them is coaching the other. And because she does that when he's falling apart, I think in the crematorium.
Yeah, exactly.
And he tells her something about how he's been praying all night. She's like, I've been praying all night too, Roger. And yeah, I do have to admit that whole sequence where it's basically kind of Judy screaming a lot and being saved. There are moments that pick it up for me. I love that I know now. I always kind of dug Angela's body language anyway when she's possessed, but now that I know she's just on roller skates and shit, I like just kind of imagining that the demon's on roller skates. I also like the fact that you know when you kind of hear lines in your head that aren't in the movie, but you wish that the character said them? There's that point where Judy and Sal are seeing Angela come toward them at the end of a hallway, and they should run, right? And Judy just collapses. And he's like, Judy, get up! And she's like, I can't. And they repeat it like about 2 or 3 times. And I just wish I want them to say that it's just as many times, God, get up, I can't. But then I just want to hear him finally just kind of like, Judy, get up. And we're like, my legs won't work. Or something like that.
There's just enough of that for me to appreciate it. And I see why you like I've seen, there's movies that are far worse in that department that I tend to like really fucking gravitate and just munch on that popcorn on that bad acting.
Yeah.
But there's little beats like that are sprinkled throughout. I predicted this would happen, but after talking to you, it makes me want to go watch it again just to soak in those little moments.
Nice. No, because I mean, I think kind of Angela's dance, I think is what kind of the last, like everything's been kind of solid up until that point for me. And once she dances, that's like the last really solid moment where I'm just kind of like, I don't know, something about the fact that she's got them garters on and that this demon wants to express itself artistically, or that she's feeling a new kind of liberation through this. I don't know. I love that there's no answered questions. And I love the fact that Sal isn't turned on, but can't leave.
He knows something's wrong.
And the fact that you talk about like the different stages and things like that, all of a sudden Stooge materializes behind him, and my brain says, oh, Suzanne turned him. He must be like a demon now, but he's not. He's just Stooge. But the house is kind of playing with him and manipulating him, teleporting him and shit, which I guess is how Sal ended up on the roof in time to save Judy, because remember when she's coming through that window and she ends up on the roof, Angela's there suddenly, which bye. But then Sal is there suddenly going, Judy! And he tries to save her and falls to his death. And I'm like, how the fuck did he get there? Was he just hanging out on the roof? And then he dies, and he's got a tombstone that says Sal Romero, George Romero, his son, or whatever. Second nephew. And I love the fact that you can still see him breathing even after he's impaled and dying. I love that.
I'll tell you something I love, since we're talking about Sal. I love this about the movie because they don't follow the rules of. Here's one thing they're breaking the mold on. Sal's a piece of shit. His introduction with the old man to his second introduction with the fucking little brother, this guy sucks. But of all the people that like get killed or possessed, we end up with like Sal walks in on Suzanne and is like, I'm gonna fucking get out of here. And I'm like, all right, he's making the right choice. And then eventually it becomes like our heroes are Sal and Roger and Judy. And you're like, wait, this piece of shit is one of the good guys? This piece of shit's making the right choices? Like, this asshole is actually correct at times? Like,
well, because he wants to leave too. Yeah, but
when you start the movie, I never would have guessed that Sal is going to be one of like the right ones to follow.
You think he's going to be like the jealous boyfriend, like Johnny Fuck Up, who shows up like when the killer's chasing them, and who's just going to be like, "What, did he hurt you? No, stop, don't hurt." You know, I mean, he's going to be like the toxic male.
Sal lasts way longer than I ever thought he would,
and ends up becoming kind of more righteous. Than I thought he would. That said, I gotta bring up my favorite kill, which is Jay's. Again, I also love the fact that it's 2 shots. Totally looks like they were shot on 2 separate nights. Look like they're 2 different guys. I don't even know if that's Lance Fenton in both shots in the close-ups when his eyes are getting poked out, because it could be 2 different people.
The fake head looks great.
Yeah, and also everything leading up to it. Again, that whole sequence with him and Suzanne made sense to me. Like, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, is this what I would have to do? to get a guy interested. Like, okay, so just like drop your panties and kind of dance toward it.
Well,
I mean, not seriously, but I mean, there was some level of it where I was just kind of like, wow, she's got him. Like, she owns him. Like, she could literally do whatever she wants with him, and she does. Granted, it's
right.
Demon Suzanne, but I thought it was hot.
But it's not Demon Jay. Like, and once you
Yeah.
know what Jay's intentions were with Judy, and the only reason he was apparently with her, like, it absolutely makes sense. Jay and Suzanne. Absolutely. And he gets what, in essence, is deserved.
John Carlos,
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this matters.
Okay.
I just want to know what you believe. Do you believe that Judy actually went all the way with Sal on that one date they had?
Based on how she reacts about it, I want to say yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Totally. Because I'm like, I mean, even though it is none of his business, I think the way she plays it is kind of like, it's just like, that doesn't matter.
It also explains why Sal's still so interested in coming by her house and wants to know where the party is. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His performance actually informs my opinion just as much as the way she plays it. But the way she plays it is my main reason for answering. Yeah, they totally did.
And also, I mean, again,
and in fact, the reason why she's such a square after the fact, I think, is also part of it.
Yeah, like a retroactive kind of like,
yeah.
Wow, that was, you know, I hope nobody ever finds out about that.
Mm-hmm.
But she was just following her, because also there's tons of moments in this movie, right from like when Sal jumps out of the coffin and scares everybody. There's one point where he gets out of the frame and she's upset with Jay because he's upset with him. She's like, you wanted to get in that coffin and scare all our friends, and now you're going to beat him up because he did the same thing. He just beat you to it.
I love that moment.
There's one point where she looks at Sal and she just kind of does one of these. And she does that more than once. She seems to, I mean, I think it was a casual thing for her, and I won't begrudge her that. I mean, here I am, slut pride. But like, do what you want. It's your decision. You shouldn't have to suffer any consequences socially.
And you know, it's hard to resist a bad boy. You know? And
especially a bad boy who you know, talks like this.
Yeah, it's Sandy and Danny Zuko. Like, how can she resist? You know.
I mean,
it might have been a summer fling. It might have been a summer lovin' sort of. And they had them a blast.
Oh my God! I want this to be a musical so bad now. God damn it! Oh,
and you know, Sal had like a bunch of
musical.
And Sal has got some like cousins or something from New York that are like, tell me more. You know, like.
And oh my God, it could so work so easily if it just weren't for all the
like,
demonic
could she
possession.
Get me a friend? You know, it's huge.
If it could just, do you have a favorite character? You could say no.
I mean, if I'm being honest, Suzanne, but that's also just because I bring the good baggage of, I just love Linnea Quigley and I like her fucking delivery. Like, and she gets so many standout moments. She gets like the weirdest effect, and just again, you know, all her lines did, you know.
Yeah.
Do you think you got enough stuff? Like, come on.
Also, just it's a big tie between her and Angela for me. The two of them.
That's me as the viewer. If I'm a real person with them, fucking Roger.
Aww.
Because I'm with him, like, the seance, the gig, we're gonna get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, yeah, Roger, you and me, we're gonna go.
I even thought, as I was watching the movie this time, it's always been true, but I really kind of articulated it to myself for the first time. I was like, you know what? I think Max and Franny would be the ones I'd probably want to hang out with the most at this party.
Great. I think she's my second favorite, if I'm being honest. It's such a small role, but she leaves such a great impression. I just really appreciate her enthusiasm and energy, man. She seems like a nice lady.
And I like her vibe with Max. Like, I trust her choosing him. I just kind of feel like this is a couple. you know?
Yeah. No, I believe
Yeah.
them as a couple. And not only that, but if I can be a bit of a dirtbag right now, I appreciate the fact that she's down to bone a dude in a coffin. Like, all right. That is, dude, like her boyfriend. But like, I'm just saying, like, in this setting, like, there were so many times where like people would be like, no. And she's like, yeah, let's fucking go do this. It's Halloween night. This is fucked up, right?
Oh, also, that was another thing I noticed was a parallel with her kill. Again, maybe this is just male gazy or something, but 2 kills that happen while a girl is straddling a guy mid-coitus. Because there's the Linnea eye poking out of Jay, and then there's Franny and Max, and it just made me think
It's
like, okay,
sin.
well, yeah, for the woman to be on top,
No,
or
just teens having sex. If we're gonna go with the whole
just teens
screen,
having
the
sex.
rules of horror, it's a sin factor.
See, I didn't think about that. I thought because it was the same position, I thought it was much more, again, this is maybe where the male gazy thing trips in for me, but it's the 80s, so of course it is. I mean, it's male director, male writer, male, you know, makeup artist, like all of it. But it just made me think like, it's kind of, I don't know if it's equally as horrific for a girl, the prospect of, you know, writing cowgirl style and being killed that way, as it is for a guy to have a girl writing him, being astride him that way, to have her killed while he's still inside her. That feels more evocative of a guy's point of view than a girl's, but I'm not a girl, I don't know. But I don't know, also because of it happened twice, and also because I just thought like, Jason Goes to Hell, that's the strongest kill that happens in that movie, and it's the exact same position, in the exact same situation. Like the same moment, essentially. Just, you know, the details are different, the actual inner workings of the structure of the kill. But it just, I don't know, it made me wonder how often that happens, that the girl gets killed astride the guy, and the guy is left to kind of go until he's killed. You know, I mean, is that a nightmare thing? I don't know. A typical straight guy nightmare, like
to be ridden,
to have a girl die astride you while you're still inside her.
It's never occurred to me. You're talking about is these aren't things I concern myself with.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not that different.
And certainly not, you know, in the moment in real life. Like, God, wouldn't it be fucked up if Jason just came into the tent and just stabbed her right now?
Yeah, right.
I mean, if anything, I mean, I've always thought, not in horror, but I've always, when it's depicted in movies, I always think it's fucked up when anyone dies mid-coitus. So I've seen a few movies where like the old man has a heart attack, like, sure, and then like falls on. I'm like, what? All right.
What is he like?
Well, hold on. Yeah, I'll have to get back to you now if I ponder on it. But yeah, I've never once concerned myself with a girl
oh, God,
in my head, even as a nightmare. Like, oh no, what if she died while sitting on a wiener? Would the guy be so scared in the moment, or like, you know, or would her death convulsion be a good thing? You know. Do some weird muscles contract in that final moment? Is the guy a piece of shit enough to actually go, oh, and then be scared? Or does he just get scared? It all depends on who the character is, I think.
I haven't seen that depicted in a movie yet. The guys in the 3 examples I've posed from the 2 movies that we've just discussed where this happens, the guys are always recoiling in horror. They're always scared. Yeah. There's never seems to be a benefit.
Most guys want to bang a living
the killer
girl.
A thumbs up. You know,
yeah, they usually want the person they're in love with or not in love with having sex with to be alive. It's sad when you no longer get to do that anymore. By the way, random side note, you ever see the movie Donkey Punch?
Yes, I was just thinking about that when you talked about.
Because that's literally the
does
story
something happen? I know. I
Yeah.
heard the legend of it long before the movie came out. And when the movie came out, I was like, oh God, I have to watch
Oh,
this.
I
I saw it.
we'll do 1
It's
minute
not
side
good.
tangent.
It's
See,
not
and I
good.
like it. I
Oh my
saw it the
God.
one time and I had a great time because the title is,
Mm.
you're like, oh fuck. And then the title is just like a title, and it's really the story
Mhm.
of the girls, and they go on a boat and they're trapped with these men who want, you know, the evidence, and it's not like a horror movie about donkey punching people. It's just inciting, which is what I thought it was going to be, and it's instead just a
A
survival story.
situational, yeah.
Yeah, and like most things, or at least the, you know, where the men are pieces of shit and the women
Mhm.
are fleeing for their lives, and they're
Yeah.
trapped in an isolated location. And then not only was it a serviceable horror movie, but the climax is that she gets a fucking like a boat propeller and starts murdering dudes with a fucking propeller. I thought Donkey
Mhm.
Punch was fucking dope.
I only saw it the once, and I remember about a third of the way in, I was just kind of disappointed with the way they handled it. Like this, I mean, everything you just described on paper, sure, yeah, I'm down for that. But something about the way it was executed, I got so bored.
Huh. Oh
So
man,
yeah,
I was down.
no,
Yeah,
I mean, I'd have to watch it again, but I would only do it if it were streaming somewhere for
right.
free.
I only saw it the one time, but like if it ever
Yeah.
came up, I'm like, yeah, I'd watch that movie again. The movie was good.
Mm-mm.
I had a good time. It's great.
Okay.
And also like
Well, that might.
organically, I like that it didn't become like the way they played that conversation, that we've all had this conversation, which is like the, hey, have you heard of the Standing Admiral? Standing Admiral, what's that? Oh, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And then, oh, what's a donkey punch? Like they literally just have that scene and all the actors play it really well, so then it comes up later. And I was surprised. I was really surprised by Donkey Punch.
I always go back to, I had a conversation because I don't remember who I learned about it from, but it was in high school. But I
Wish it was
remember
me. I would love to have seen your face while I explained it to you. Yeah.
I was, well, because I was at school, and I remember I don't even remember what my response was, except I remember I thought I have to tell Bonnie, my bestie. So I went over to Bonnie at the earliest opportunity, and I was like, "Have you ever heard of a donkey punch?" She was like, "No." I was like, "Do you want to?" She's like, "Just tell me." And then I told her what it was, and I remember she started laughing, and then immediately, like, just, you know, like the shame hit her. She laughed for about maybe 2 seconds, if that, and then went, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "I'm so ashamed of myself." She was still laughing, like stifling laughter, going, "I'm so ashamed of myself." Because that's really funny to picture. Like, I don't know why I go to like cartoon noises and slapstick, but I do, maybe just to soften the blow, as it were. But someone had to go through that. someone someone either attempted it, and whether that was successful or unsuccessful, some poor girl. And I went, "Oh my God." And we just kind of sat there trying to figure out how to proceed with our day.
When you say that someone, the second I thought of someone had to go through with that, and I thought, and unsuccessfully, most likely,
Probably.
someone just got punched in the back of the head and went, "Fucking
Exactly.
ow, what are you doing?" God,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
So, I mean, so that's what I think of when I think of Tiger. So when I heard the movie was coming out, I was like, uh-oh. And I thought, oh, cool. It's going to be like situational. It's going to be like, you know, put yourself, you know, who are you on this boat? You know, like what tack are you going to take? But ultimately, I just remember being dissatisfied. This movie is another
You
matter.
were dissatisfied by your donkey punch experience. Bummer. What'd you think about the movie? No.
Moving.
All right, let's talk. I'll tell you something else that I liked about this movie. I forgot
Yeah.
about the opening credits. So when this movie started,
Oh, yeah.
and we have spooky graveyard animations and Night at Bald Mountain skeleton ghosts and the silhouette of the and yeah, it's also, I think, when did this come out? 89?
No, it was
88?
shot in 87, released 88.
88.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the animation is groundbreaking, but there was something fresh about what I was watching, even though a majority of it is just backgrounds and like things passing by, but the things
Stationary stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the things aren't articulating. They're just stationary things that are moving. But the lightning would hit and they would highlight things in the room, and the rooms were all really crisp with their gray and white tones. And then every once in a while something would animate, like the fire would animate, the silhouette of a ghoul would animate. And I just remember thinking, like, this is a fun and a fresh way to open the movie, and the animation is really clean for what it is. It's a hell of a time.
Yeah.
It sets you up for like, this is gonna be fun. You have a good
I
time.
mean, yeah, it was a long time before I finally saw that opening credit sequence, because I always happened upon this. Yeah, I always happened upon it mistakenly, or not even mistakenly, but just like, oh my gosh, it's on. So when I finally did, I think it was when I bought it on DVD, first time, and it's so. I mean, now it just so sets the stage, because again, with the synth score, which is very 80s, and everything that you're talking about being so kind of emblematic of an 80s Halloween feel, that warms me in a way that, shall we say, I don't know how to put this without, because I don't want to put down the Halloween, I mean, like Michael Myers Halloween or Season of the Witch, whatever, movies of the 80s, but it's a different feeling than this one. This one, it's closer to a trick-or-treat feeling for me when it comes on, and especially when I see those animations and I see and I hear the synth score. I mean, originally the title was Halloween Party, and even though I don't think it's a great title, I like Halloween Party. I mean, it's
literally what the movie is,
yeah,
it's about.
It's just like a fun, frothy. I mean, again, here I'm just thinking about like all the other movies that we've spoken about thus far, but also tonally, maybe not as, for lack of a better word, slapsticky as Killer Clowns, but more on par. Like, I mean, I like hearing you talk about like why you like it, but you don't necessarily love it. Makes me feel like, well, with Killer Clowns, I feel the same way. I really, really like it. I really, really like it. If I had not been so scared of it when I was a kid and just watched it and just been entertained by it, I think I might love it today. I'll probably love it in like, a couple of years when it's like second nature to me.
After a few
Night of the Demons. Night of the Demons is second nature to me.
I wonder if I will love it after a few more viewings. So I think I've only seen it now three times, maybe 4. And yeah, because sometimes seeing it when you're a kid helps, but sometimes just repeat viewings really, really.
Knowing if it stands the test of time with you, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely, it already has a special place in my heart. I mean, one, I like it, duh. But I instantly, when I saw it, went, oh, it's on Halloween night. Oh, and their car's got a pumpkin on it, and like we're having a Halloween party. Like, I have a real soft spot for movies that are Halloween movies, not that just sort of you watch at Halloween time, but actually fall on Halloween. And I've always had like this long list in my head of the small movies that are truly Halloween films. Then there's a long list of movies that happen to take place on Halloween. And then there's another long list of movies that happen to take place on Halloween and barely mention it, but like it's there, Or like a good example of that one is like Texas Chainsaw 3D. Like there's like one pumpkin and they go like a Halloween, but that movie takes place over Halloween weekend. They don't do much with it.
I completely forgot about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this instantly joined like I think like the 6 films, like Ernest Scared Stupid, Halloween, Trick or Treat, Fun Size, that are like they are Halloween movies. And I will always love this movie for being a Halloween movie.
Especially again, I love
goodwill to me.
Yeah, I love that it ends being punctuated by something I thought was completely abandoned.
Let's talk about that, please.
Okay. Wholly implausible, which makes me love it.
Right.
because it creeped me out when I was. It's not like I bought into it when I was a teenager, but because it is wholly implausible. Like, number one, pie for breakfast. Number two,
Yeah, pie for breakfast.
number two, and nothing mentioned about that. Nothing like, what is this? It's like, well, it's all I had left over, to like make you some pie. It's just kind of like, he's like, rah, 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 I'm eating this pie. And I'm chewing it, I guess, but not hard enough to cut my mouth up with the razor blades that are in the apples that you cut up and put in the pie.
It's not just that he didn't notice that there are razor blades in the bites that he's eating. It's that she didn't notice that there's razor blades in the apples she's cutting. Side note, but then she does know because of her performance.
Mm-hmm.
Which, at least, here's my little thing. A little thing I like is, okay, so the opening scene, the old man calls Judy a whore for no reason.
Yeah,
and I'm like, wow, he's an asshole. But then he goes, tonight I'm gonna, and he gets the apple and the razor blades. He's like, oh, and you're like, holy shit, this guy's a monster. He's gonna put razor blades in fucking apples and give them to kids. This guy's an asshole. More than just calling her a whore. He's a monster. He's a monster.
Yeah.
And the movie just goes, fuck, there's a thing. And you're like, wait, why did we, Like, why is that scene happening? Why is that beat happening? Why? Okay. And then at least the movie comes back to it. And you go, oh, remember that? Okay, we're going to book in the movie with this. All right, fuck it. I don't understand why. Because contextually, for the main story, I don't know why this last scene is even happening.
It's a punctuation.
No. Who cares, though? Because that's what makes it good. It's this kind of shit that makes the movie fun.
Because just kind of watching Judy and Roger kind of like slog back like zombies to their lives and everything like that. It's not enough of an exclamation mark.
He's asshole about them. Like, he's being a prick even then. No, but I like the fact that how I just said this guy's an asshole. I like that his wife was like, he's a fucking asshole. Like, I love talking about showing up for the day and delivering. That lady's great. Because her face is everything. But yes, you're right. How do you, and I even went back and watched the last scene again. He takes a little bite. So I'm like, there's no razor blade in that fucking bite. What are you talking about? And then the fact that the razor blade would go into your body and somehow you wouldn't feel it. And then it's not, and then you find out and he goes, oh, the apple, and then,
and your veins pop out first.
I mean, it's a cool, weird looking effect. I just don't understand why it's happening.
Yeah.
And then they cut
full,
and the full
razor blade.
Yeah. It's, you know what? Isolated on its own, it's a brilliant scene. But as the ending to the movie, it is not only confusing, but that's why I like it.
You know why I like it also? Because something about the neck thing and the implausibility of it gives it more fun to me, because if they were, again, to go a more naturalistic route and he were to just like bite into a razor and start bleeding from his mouth, like, I don't like that. Right. That wouldn't make me laugh. That wouldn't set me up. That terrified.
That's not a gag.
I had nightmares about shit like that. I had a nightmare once, and I was already shaving, so I must have been like, at least, I probably already knew you, like 14 or 15. And I just remember I had a nightmare that I wasn't paying attention in the bathroom while I was getting ready with my day, my morning ablutions and everything. And for some reason, I was so distracted, I don't even know what I was doing, but I grabbed my razor and began to brush my teeth with it. Even talking about it now, I'm just like, I'm uncomfortable. And I, for some reason, I was on autopilot. Like, I was moving so fast that, like, you're not in control of your body. So like, there's that conscious part of you that's watching, going like, why am I doing this? Stop! And then I woke up because it started to hurt. And I woke up and I was like, I'm dry. I'm in my bed. It didn't happen. And I had to like talk myself off the ledge, as it were. And so I can embrace the fact that it's all just fun. And seems kind of tonally in step with the rest of the movie. So yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
It's like, step more. Like it's probably the cheekiest the movie gets. Like the most winky, or the most like, yeah. And I like it. It just,
Yeah.
it's like they kind of floored it and went a little bit at the end, but I really, really appreciate that ending. It actually retroactively justifies the randomness of the opening scene with the old man, even though itself as an ending is also incredibly random to the context of the whole story and how this has nothing to do with anything. But remember that old piece of shit in the beginning? Fuck him.
That said, sometimes when I see characters like that in movies now, I almost hope we don't see them again. I'm just like, oh my God. Oh, I can't think. Oh, I have examples that I can't summon right now, but I know that there are moments where I see a character do something in the movie. I'm just kind of like, I hope that's all you do the whole movie. And if they come back on screen, even if it's great, I'll be like, no, I love that you were just
random, yeah.
Hey guy, or you little whore for no reason guy. I mean,
But at least by bringing him back, we get his wife's performance and her fucking happy Halloween at the end.
This movie's not one of them, but there are other movies where I'm just kind of like, I hope I never see you again in this movie, in this universe. Please let that be all you do, because it was random and it was perfect, and yeah.
Normally I would not like this ending where you're like, well, here's the story of these kids and these demons, and now an old man's gonna eat pie and die. You're like, wait, what? But for this movie, it's great.
It works for me.
If I have a nitpick, and it's just a minor nitpick about this, it's not a real. Again, it's literally I'm saying the word nitpick and not an actual problem. I do find it funny that when our heroes are behind a locked door, the demons are like, oh no, we can't get in.
Yeah.
I can possess you with smoke, and I can put a lipstick in my tit, and I'm now so strong that I can snap someone's head 180 degrees around their body. Yeah. But I can't open this door. And I can't knock the door down. But then also we have the magic, like you're saying, like maybe the house is playing with them, but like I can't unlock the door, I can't push the door. But then you see when they're in the crematorium that like the bolts can come out of the hinges of the door, but it can't undo the latch of the door. And I know they even talked about that in the making of. They're like but then they said, well, originally Judy's gonna be Little Red Riding Hood.
Yes.
We thought red and villainy, and that's not the right. So we'll put her as Alice in Wonderland. And if she's dressed as Alice, she's in Wonderland. So now the fact that the demons sometimes have powers, but sometimes can't. But then the bolts can come off. Like nothing makes sense. We're in Wonderland, and I'm like, that's not really a theme running through your movie. You can tell yourself that and try to justify it, but it's not on screen as a theme. But it is amusing how capable the demons are, and then also how not when it comes to a locked door.
See, that bothers me more in Signs than it does in this movie. Like in this movie, I think, again, I'm not like naturalism. I'm not looking to like, if something ridiculous happens, or if there's some kind of ridiculous logic behind something, I find myself going,
well, this
what
is
are you
the
going
kind
to
of
do?
movie where it's all fun. So fuck it, Again, nitpick, not like you know what, Eddie, I have a real problem with this movie, and here's why. And that
logistically, it just doesn't add up.
And and when you're possessed by a demon, that's not very realistic that a door wouldn't open. Like, no, fuck off. Like, I'm not doing that. It's just a funny little nitpick to me that.
It's pretty funny.
Okay, we'll go for her.
Well, I mean, also, the fact that I liked that they thought they were getting away with something by putting her in Alice's garb. Because I mean, again, it does add something for me just visually, because there's something about seeing her run around with her little locket in her little Alice dress that I really liked, not even in a way that I could articulate, but I just remember thinking like, oh, that's a good idea when I was watching this at like 12, 13, 14. And it's a thing that I was actually really, really pleased with, because I saw Night of the Demons 2 around the same time, and I don't even remember if they were in costumes, what those costumes were. I just was reminded that the same actress who played Angela, Amelia, is in the second movie, and I was like, oh, I didn't even put that together. And there's a third one that I have not seen.
And I think she comes back to that one too. Like
she's
the mainstay is Angela. Like, she's on that poster. We need that girl on every poster. It's her party.
And at least for the second one, I believe they revisited, the house hadn't been paved over by a Ralph's yet. So I believe they revisited the house again for the second one because the director was talking about like doing like just a set visit just to kind of, he produced it. He just wanted to see how things were going along and how the way they'd set it up for his shoot was very, very different than the setup for this next movie. So he got lost in the house, which was not fun because, you know, it's haunted. But no, there's so this one I've got the second one coming to me on Blu-ray so I can rewatch it and see like what is it? I don't remember. I just remember some hot guys in their underwear, and I remember a guy making out with a girl in a car, and this demon hand comes up through the seat and massages his crotch. And it's almost that like vaudevillian thing of him like thinking she's jerking him off, but her arms are around him. And he said, and he does something. I don't even know if I'm remembering this correctly, but he's just kind of like, he's just kind of like, yeah, that's really hot. Yeah, you know, do that. And she's like, okay,
dude, what?
Exactly.
I all of a sudden, like that scene, like I was thinking recently about like, okay, it's on Prime, and it's like it's not on. I mean, it's available through Amazon Prime, and it's like I think a $3 rental. Sure. I can't find it for free through any streaming service, but I was curious enough to maybe drop $3 on it. But now you're telling me he's getting jerked off by a demon. That sounds interesting.
And the only other thing,
I'm not trying to be funny, like that's fucked up. A hand comes out and starts like,
no, I'm telling you, again, like with the first movie, like the psychosexual circus that I got, I watched the second movie and I was just kind of like, wow, the guys are even hotter in this one. Like I like that guy. And then I see, I don't remember if it was the same guy or a different guy, but a guy's getting his dick rubbed, like, you know, through his jeans. This is hot. And do I remember anything else? Not really.
I mean, the half of the charm of this is I mean, again, we'll have to see the second one, but the cast, like, I wish there was a no Swayze, no Wazy rhyme for like no Linnea Quigley, then I don't want to wiggly or something. But like, you know, I don't. You've got to come with a good one for me to be able to watch a sequel to a movie.
The problem is it's too close to Quigley. Like you could just say Quigley again, like no Linnea Quigley.
I'm out of here quickly.
Yeah, exactly. I'll depart quickly. But or okay, something with Linnea. No Linnea.
No way.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like RuPaul. All Shasea or Sashaya. Awaya.
No Leanna Quigley. I'll Sashaya quickly.
There you go. We got it.
All I know is
got a winner, folks.
Historically speaking. Well, okay, actually, this doesn't work. Return to Living Dead 1, fucking awesome. Return to Living Dead 2 without Linnea Quigley. I haven't seen Night of the Demons 2, but also, like, you know, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. Half of the movie is just
the first movie.
So,
yeah.
But, yeah.
As long as, you know what? This is a little off topic, but with Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, totally watchable if you don't watch it right on the heels of the first movie.
Yeah, if you've forgotten the first movie and it's been a while.
Or not even forgotten, but if you just haven't seen the first one, like, I mean, because I remember the first one, but I don't mind watching the abridged version and seeing like, oh, different actors or, you know, because I guess they didn't sign a release for another feature or whatever. So, I mean, I don't mind the abridged version, but the hardest thing is I would never recommend anybody to binge Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Part 2 right after, because you're in for and you can't just fast forward because there's all these interstitial scenes that are worth their weight in gold with, what's his name, with his brother just sitting there just like acting. And it's, and you don't want to miss a moment of it. So watch them maybe a month apart.
If you've never seen Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, just go YouTube Garbage Day. And if that and if that doesn't whet your appetite, then I don't know what to tell you, because I mean that's what you're in for, basically.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, yes. Yeah. No, that's
just like a tease, and like this is what. Yeah.
If you don't like that moment, then you're not going to like the movie.
Exactly. There you go. But yeah, I'm glad you brought this one up, because it's been a while, and my brain was about due to revisit it. So
good. I'll let you know when my blue arrives for Part 2 if it's worth your time.
Okay.
Because found it at target.com. That was the cheapest place I could find it. It's only like $20, I think. But yeah, so there's that. I don't know if I have anything else to say except Stigmata Marcher, motherfuckers. Bauhaus in the house. My first exposure to Bauhaus, and I remember I heard it in a bar once. I was just kind of like started singing along with it. Whatever guy I was talking to was just kind of like, "Oh, you're into Bauhaus?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm totally into Bauhaus." Yeah, I lied. I mean, I'm into one house. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about their other songs. You know, I can't. I just know Stigmata Martyr. I hope he doesn't ask me to sing along to any other song.
I was introduced to Bauhaus through friends in high school. In fact, actually, that was one little thing before we go when you asked, who was my favorite character, and realistically, I thought Roger. I mean, I thought Suzanne as the viewer, but in reality, Roger. Roger in that given moment. You know what I mean? Like being at that party.
Okay.
But I did ponder on it for a few seconds after you asked, and you know what I wanted to have been friends with? Angela. I don't know if I would have been friends with her, but I would have wanted to have been friends with Angela. And I sort of I say that because in real life I was friends with an Angela, and I think it's through her friends that's how I first found out about Bauhaus. So there you go.
That whole dance, I've got to say, is pretty much any theater kid.
Yeah.
Either on anything, on sugar, on alcohol, on drugs, on just like I have to dance. You know, I mean, it doesn't. That's any theater kid at a Halloween party. Like you put on a song like that, and they're just kind of like, oh. I mean, that's me. That's me.
That's
not
you.
I know. I said it's me. I own it. I'm Angela. I am Angela. Hashtag I am Angela. I'll put it on the t-shirt.
And if I'm not mistaken, her skirt magically, doesn't it change in that scene? Doesn't it become like less layered and more transparent? And then as the scene ends, like it's now a full skirt again?
I don't know. I mean, there may have been like 1 or 2 layers of tulle that they took out to expose like the garters and everything. That I can't say for sure.
And then when she's done, it's back.
Because also when she twirls, I mean, everything's gonna go up anyway. I mean, especially with the.
See, now you say it's things that they took out for the production to allow her to dance, but I remember noticing, and her skirt's back. I just remember thinking like demon magic.
I don't even think about it in all honesty. I'm just like, that ass. Look at her. Good for her. Who knew Angela was rocking that shit? And also, I love that. I mean, again, it satisfies the 80s kid in me. I grew up loving Flashdance. So watching a girl with big old froey hair like that dance her motherfucking ass off, and then to find out she was actually up for Jennifer Beals double, and it was between her and the woman who actually finally got it. And I'm just kind of like, oh my god, good for you. She like, there's this great feature on the Blu-ray. If you buy the Blu-ray, watch the interview just with Amelia Kincaid, because she's amazing, huge influence to me, like just totally inspiring interview that she held. She's so quick to laugh and so just a barb wit. Seems like a great gal to hang out with. So actually, yeah, if we're talking cast members, she might be it for me to hang out with. I don't know.
She's definitely, I mean, there are more than a handful of standouts, and she's definitely a standout. I don't fucking know. She's real good.
She's real good. Can't wait to see her in the second one.
Yeah. And you let me know how that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you once again for joining me, and also thank you for recommending this one, because it was a good time.
Yeah, it was.
Most I've liked it. I liked it more this time than the last 2 times. So yeah, we'll do something next time. As always, thank you other people for joining us.
Thank you for listening to all this.
Yes.
I hope no one's offended by anything I might have said.
I don't know. I do find it funny that we did spend an awful lot of time talking about butt scenes.
I'm telling you, there's
Yeah.
something inherently sexual about this movie. It just brings it out in me.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Can't fight it.
I know we're just about to go, but the 80s was such a like so many horny movies came out in the 80s that are like upfront horny, and not just the ones that are blatantly about,
No.
you know, we're gonna get laid, it's Porky's and it's this, it's, I mean between like Weird Science and Grease too, and just like everything's about like teens and sex. So and this definitely is like, hey, you know, I'm gonna walk you to the bathroom and then we're gonna go to this thing and get in the coffin and you know, just everything's watch me dance and you know, dance by the fire. Yeah.
But all taste with a sweetness.
There's an 80s hormone that, you know, there's plenty of cinematic evidence of it. So there you go. Yeah. All right. Until next time. Thanks, man.